Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option Podcast. New episode of the Sprint Ride Option Podcast, a podcast about the 49ers that's very happy it's not a podcast about the Packers right about now because I don't even want to begin that conversation. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined as always the new 26-year-old Jason Aponte. Jason, happy birthday. I hope I'm the first to say it. How's your birthday been? Has it been a great day? Has it been everything you wanted? You dropped model quality photos on the timeline today without warning. You can't do that. You broke Twitter today, Jason.
I did not, and that's just a lie. Honestly, no, it's been a good day. Got a lot of time to spend with Averly and stuff, and that's all you could really ask for at this point. Turning 26, which is not true at all, is a big deal. You should cherish it. But fair birthday. And honestly, the best thing that I get to do on my birthday is talk with you on this podcast, and we get to talk about the 49ers. Shout out to everybody who has been showing love and kind words, and I'm humbled and honored. And I'll tell you this, the best thing about this year, this year, being able to connect with the fan base, meet so many nice people, make new friends. Birthdays are a time of reflection for myself. And today I'm reflecting on all the things we've been able to do, accomplish, all the things that are in front of us, and all of the people that I've met along the way. So yeah, today's been a really good day.
I'm happy to hear. I'm such a good friend that if it wasn't for your photo drop, I wouldn't have been aware. I was like, is that today? Because I remember last year you told me the day, and you're like, let's just keep it on the down low.
Well, Andrew, all right. So Andrew, two things about last year's birthday. Okay, I just want to, because the memories let you know real quick on your Instagram. It was on a Thursday, and the 49ers had a game against the Green Bay Packers in which the entire team was out. Yes, in which the entire team was on the COVID list. And also, it was 2020. Things weren't really, going right for a lot of people. So I didn't really feel the love. At least right now, there's a little bit of, now things are at least a little bit progressing in a different way. Yeah. So this year feels much better than last year. So that's why if you feel like last year was kind of under wraps, it was less about that. It was more about being respectful because so many people were going through something that was horrific at that time.
That's fair. Well, yeah. So once again, happy birthday. It's exciting. It was an amazing photo shoot. I'm happy you dropped it on the timeline. You hottest man on Twitter. You can't even deny it. So just make sure if you talk to Jason Day, tell him happy birthday. It's a good day. Do we want to start talking about football, or do we want to talk about your birthday? Because I can talk about either really for the next 45 minutes.
No, let's just talk about football. I mean, this is a huge game right now with the implications that are beyond our control, but we're going to try to give our best analysis on both ways. And we talked about this pre-show. It's like we have no idea what's about to happen on the other end, so I guess that's the best place to start.
This might be the first two-part preview because half of the podcast is going to be, hey, here's what to expect from the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, and the other half is going to be, here's what to expect with Colt McCoy, 49er legend Colt McCoy. That's really the big story going into this Niner-Cardinal game. The Niners sitting at 3-4. I believe the Cardinals are sitting at 7-1 right now. Their one loss against Joe Rogan's friend Aaron Rodgers and the Packers on Thursday. They could be a little angry, but that's what my dad likes to say. I called him, talked to him about the game. He said, the Cardinals are probably going to be angry. He says that after every loss. It's great. It's stuck to it. But hey, obviously, I don't think I'm stating the obvious. The Cardinals are going to be a bit of a different team if Colt McCoy is the starting quarterback, obviously, than Kyler Murray. But let's talk about if Kyler Murray plays. And the place I want to start is how well they played against him last time. That was very encouraging. 22 for 31, 239 yards, only one touchdown, no interceptions, but the key number, 7 carries, 1 yard. So the 49ers did a fantastic job. And obviously there's injuries that we'll talk about here in a bit. We'll dive in. We'll talk about the injuries when we get to the second part. We'll talk about the Kyler Murray preview first. 7 carries for 1 yard. And that was the big thing to take away from this game. It was a very winnable game. Thank you, Luke. Very winnable game in my opinion for the Niners, 17-10. Trey Lance isn't the big difference here is for sure, no matter what happens with Kyler Murray, the quarterback situation is going to be different for the 49ers come Sunday. It's not going to be Trey Lance. It's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo, who had a game. It felt like something to build off of. But what can we expect? How do you think the Cardinals are going to try and use Kyler maybe a little differently against the Niners this time, considering how well the Niners did against him last time, and also considering if he plays, he's not going to be 100%.
Yeah, so let's just say Kyler Murray is the starter. And, Cliff Kingsbury has kind of alluded to it all week about he doesn't really need to practice. I didn't really believe that he needed to either at this
No.
point. Same thing goes for DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins, it always seems like doesn't practice all week and eventually plays, right? So
Yeah.
I would feel more confident about Hopkins playing right now than Murray, but at this point, it wouldn't shock me if either. But I would just think that it would be a lot more of quick throws, getting the ball out on time, and making sure that Kyler's out of harm's way. Probably not a lot of design quarterback runs, which is good news for the 49ers, even though
Yeah.
reinforcements are on the way, especially with Aziz Al-Shaair, D Ford. All of those guys are going to be there. But in terms of what they're trying to do, seems like it'll just be something quick game, maybe much more of Chase Edmonds,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more of James Conner, who it just seems like James Conner is there in between the 10 and the goal line guy. Literally, I believe it's some staggering stat of 72% of his carries are within the red zone or 10 to go.
Wow.
So I think that changes a little bit more about what they want to do. And especially because we know that the one thing the 49ers have struggled to do is stop the run itself. Not necessarily with the quarterbacks. Obviously, Justin Fields had 100 yards on the ground last week, but they were missing a bunch of people. But I just think a lot of quick throws, a lot more of the ground game, but I feel like that doesn't suit them very well. So I don't know if it kind of behooves them at this point. And I've been making the joke all week. As a lifelong Arizona Cardinal fan, I feel like they should sit Kyler Murray
Yes.
and DeAndre Hopkins and all those guys and get them ready for the season. But I don't know if their offense will click with Kyler Murray not working in his optimal state because so much of what he does with his legs opens so much more. And you don't really want him to be a sitting duck back there at this point when this defensive line knows that the plan is for him to not run. So I could be speculating, I could be completely wrong, but I would suspect a lot of quick throws and a lot more running, just not running from Kyler Murray. And I don't know if that is even really good for them, even if they make the right decision to, hold him out.
Yeah, and it's probably the worst place for an injury on a quarterback like Kyler Murray, the sprained ankle. Like that's especially for a mobile quarterback, like that's just going to totally change how he's going to play. Which I mean, in a way, might throw a wrinkle into the Niners' plan against him because maybe they're just in case preparing for him to be mobile. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see how Cliff Kingsbury runs it, and obviously it comes down to how Kyler Murray is going to feel on Sunday, right? And then and unfortunately, we're not going to know. Like, I think the worst part for 49er fans, at least, is we're not going to know how to feel about going into this game until it's game time. Because obviously, if we're talking about Colt McCoy starting, Niners probably should beat the Cardinals. Like just plain and simple. Where if Kyler Murray's starting, it's a little more ominous. I still think the Niners should beat them, even if Kyler starts. Um, so that's going to be interesting to see how the Cardinals deal with it and what the decision making is going to be. Is it going to be he needs to be 100% to play this game, or if he needs to be 80% or things like that? Christopher, we appreciate it. So yeah, I think that obviously like the big thing we're opening with here is Kyler Murray, because this really decides what this game is going to be.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? And it's a suboptimal Kyler Murray at that point, or a fully realized 49er legend Colt McCoy revenge game. And you know where I'm going to lean, where I want this game to go. If it's anything, I want it to be a revenge game at this point.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just don't know if Kyler not operating in his full capacity is something that would hold this offense back, especially now that we're talking about AJ Green is not going to play in this game on the COVID list. DeAndre Hopkins probably will play, but I would suspect that you would see the DeAndre Hopkins that you saw last Thursday, in which on the field, off the field, literally Cliff Kingsbury talked about he ran on the field when they told him not to go back out there. So the injury is a little bit more than they're leading on. But if you know anything about DeAndre Hopkins, Probably not going to let that stop him from playing. But even still, he's not himself. So this is, again, 49er fans, this is what we were talking about last week, about win your game, go to the next week, and then see where that team is that is coming out on the other end.
Yeah.
That Arizona team is not the Arizona team that you saw earlier. And that's why it's always win every single week, go 1-0, and figure out who comes out on the other end, because injury, they look like the play happened on the last play of the game with Kyler Murray. And that's literally when I tweeted out, this is why you can't throw away games. You can't look ahead and say the season's done, because you have no idea what the other team is going to look like. And now you're getting a glimpse of that, because even if it's let's say 75, 80% Kyler Murray, you'll still take your chance with that, as opposed to the Kyler Murray who was an MVP candidate for the large portion of the season so far.
Yeah, and then obviously there's more injuries to it. You already mentioned AJ Green. DeAndre Hopkins is questionable. JJ Watt obviously out. So that's huge. And David Lombardi of the Athletic kind of put it as the injury trends have reversed. That's literally what he words his 10 observations article for this game, because on the other side, Trent Williams, he's going to play. Aziz Al-Shaair, he sounds like he's going to be good to go.
Everybody's off the injury report, basically, aside from 2 guys.
George Kittle is back, so that's huge. And then obviously the biggest one, Robbie Gould.
I knew you were going to do that.
The takeaway though is Deebo Samuel, his calf. It doesn't sound like it's going great. And Elijah Mitchell, he's questionable as well. I think it's more likely that Mitchell plays than Deebo. It didn't sound too positive on Deebo, way I read into it. But you hope that A, Kittle coming back helps that, and B, Brandon Ayuk showed up a little bit last week and he was in the game plan and they used him. So the Niners are healthy this game. The Niners are relatively healthy. Obviously, if they're missing Mitchell, Jeff Wilson might play, might not, still not sure yet. But obviously Mitchell, Deebo, huge injuries, but the Niners are going to have pieces that should make that easier. You know, Trey Sermon's going to likely get carries. Jermichael Hasty's going to get carries, things like that. So the Niners are pretty much healthy going into this game, which is, even if Kyler doesn't play, you know, and obviously another injury too that happened in the Niner game, Max Williams, he's not there. They have Zach Ertz, which is a little different, but it just, to me, whether Kyler plays or not, I think the Niners have a good chance in this. I really do, especially with the way the defense, you know, last week was fine, but defense has been pretty good and they played Kyler Murray well last time. And that to me, I feel like that's what's going to carry over the most, is that defensive performance against Kyler last time.
Right. And we talked about this after the Arizona game, is they kind of laid the blueprint in terms of how to stop Kyler Murray. And you saw, this is a copycat league. The Green Bay Packers lifted that and they did it. And what I mean by that is, I know this is the easy way to put it. Everybody will always tell you need to keep him in the pocket, but here's why it's important to keep him in the pocket. A guy like Russell Wilson will still step up into the pocket when you contain and try to look to throw. Kyler Murray's not looking to step up and look over those giant men. He looks to bail immediately. So when you keep him in that pocket, you keep your lanes and you push him up, that's when the problems will happen and he has nowhere to go. He's looking to get out of the pocket immediately. He does not want to step up. That's the point of keeping contained. And when you watch DeMeco Ryans hold him to 1 rushing yard, and then you see the Green Bay Packers literally lift the way that they rush their edge rushers to the outside and just kept them going. Like, again, creating that contain, that's literally how you do it, and that's the blueprint. The 2 worst games that they had offensively were against Green Bay and against the 49ers. Copycat league, DeMeco Ryans kind of laid that, duplicate that, and now that you have your defense much healthier now, aside from Jimmy Ward, who's going to miss this game, and I think that's going to be a bit of an issue, if you ask me. But if you duplicate that, then I think the 49ers should be in great shape to win this game. And you don't want to get ahead of yourself. This is still the NFL. Those are professional guys on the other side. Colt McCoy, listen, yes, whatever. Make your jokes. That's fine. Still an NFL player. Still plays for pride. Never know what they have cooked up there. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury's been running a smokescreen this entire week about maybe Kyler plays and he's implemented something really good for Colt McCoy. You really can't sleep on the other side. But in terms of what the 49ers were able to do in the first performance, if you're able to duplicate that sort of defensive performance, then I think you should be in great shape, especially considering the offense looked much better in that second half of that Bears game. And you hope that springboards into this game.
Perfectly so. Just absolutely 100%. That's what it's, to me. Jason just nailed it on the head. Jason, Jesse had a question here. Actually, I think I think you have a He'll probably have a better answer
Who
there. Who
starts
do
at
you
free
think starts with free
safety?
agents or free safety? God.
So this is a good question. If you ask me right now, I would probably say Tavon Wilson.
Okay.
Um, Now, Tavon Wilson's a veteran. You hope that this entire week he's been, working working himself into the defense, and I think that my concern with him, and from what I saw from him in camp, was over the top. The coverage things, and I think that's what is missed with Ward and Tart. Again, we
Mhm.
talk about this all the time. There's no big plays over their head. That's why everybody's always like, "Oh, they never turn the ball over." Well, nothing ever really goes over their head, and that's really, really what's good. So I'm interested to see, and it depends, and really, realistically, it all depends on who's at quarterback. If it's Kyler Murray, then I'm much more worried.
Yes.
If it's Colt McCoy, then I'm a little worried, because he's still an NFL quarterback. But Kyler
Mhm.
Murray has that hose on him, so I think it's Tavon Wilson. Could be wrong, but I would suspect it's going to be Wilson and Huff. Obviously, now that Tart's on IR.
Perfect. I wanna ask you about the Niners offense as well because it's gonna be it's gonna be different because we were talking about the potential quarterback change here with Kyler Murray. The Niners side of the ball, as I said, they do have a quarterback change compared to the last time. It's going to be
Mhm.
Garoppolo as opposed to Lance. And I'm actually not even going to ask this in terms of the quarterback position. How do you think the Niners attack the run game? Because the last time these two teams played, Trey Lance was the leading rusher, 16 carries, 89 yards. I don't think he's going to get 16 carries this game. I don't even think he's going to get 10 snaps, if that. Um, so how do you think the Niners, especially with Mitchell on the injury list, what do you think they can do to because it's almost like this is the first time the Cardinals are seeing them, at least in terms of the run game. Actually, you might even argue as a whole offense because the offense is going to be significantly different unless Kyle Shanahan is all in on this Jimmy Wheels idea and runs the ball 16 times with him. Uh, this do you think that gives an advantage to the Niners that their offense is going to be significantly different than what they ran against the Cardinals last time?
Well, I think that a few things have changed. I don't know if I said it on our show or someone else's, but last week was Kyle Juszczyk's best game as a 49er, hands down,
Mm,
hands down. In terms of blocking, Charlie Warner has evolved now. Now you're talking about George Kittle returning.
yeah.
And we all know that the best way to attack any sort of run defense is to run behind the best left tackle in football. So I suspect that based on all of those things, the 49ers should have no problem running the ball because they didn't really have a problem running the ball last time
Yeah.
against Arizona because Elijah Mitchell, our complaint after was that he didn't get as many touches. And then we understand they were pushed back on penalties, down and distance, all those things, right? But the 49ers should control this game tempo wise and be able to run the ball very well when you're talking about who's returning, George Kittle, and
Yeah.
how well Charlie Warner has played and how well Kyle Juszczyk is playing right now. I don't suspect that they'll have a problem running the ball in this game at all. I mean, if you watched what Green Bay did on Thursday, literally Aaron Rodgers was there and Devontae Adams didn't play. Alan Lazard didn't play. It was literally the old band of Randall Cobb. Tunyon even got hurt in that game. And even then, with Aaron Rodgers, who, whatever, say what you want about what's going on, but he's still one of the best throwers of the football.
Mhm.
They still ran the ball at ease with
Yeah.
Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. I suspect the 49ers are going to be able to do whatever they want when it comes to that as well, too. So, again, when we talked about whether Kyler Murray is going to be there, the idea is always keep Kyler on the sideline, run the ball, tempo, make sure that you keep them off. But if Kyler Murray's not there, then you'll be able to have your way with this offense, this defense, and then, whatever, you'll take your chances on the other side with Colt McCoy. So I just think that there shouldn't be any problem running the ball because of how well the 49ers ran it last week. And I think that they're going to build off of that this week.
Yeah, Cardinals give up 120 yards on the ground per game, and as we said, it's going to be a different run game for the Niners this time around. Do you have any last thoughts on the Kyler Murray preview of this
Portion of it.
portion of the podcast?
Um, for the 49er fans, and I like this idea too, for the 49er fans who say, man, I wish he was healthy. Man, I want them to play because of how close the 49ers played them when they were healthy. I admire you. And I love
Mhm.
that thought process. I really do. I really do. Now, at the same time, this is the NFL. You got to stack wins and take them how you get them at this point,
Yes.
honestly. And the 49ers are a team right now, half a game out of the last wild card spot. So while I admire your bravado and the same thing, because you don't want anybody to ever say, well, you only beat the Cardinals because Kyler Murray wasn't healthy or he wasn't there. I don't think you should care about that, but I
No.
admire the thought process and I admire the bravado because I feel like they left meat on the bone in that Cardinals game. A lot of 49ers fans feel like that, and you should want to feel like that. You always want to go up against their best. Nobody ever wants to see injuries. I don't
No.
want to see injuries because I don't want anybody to ever come to me and say, well, Kyler was hurt, Hopkins was hurt. Listen, this is the NFL that's going to happen, but I prefer to have you all bullets fired so you have no excuses and you can say, hey, we took you down. So, I mean, that's I just wanted to make sure I got that out
Yeah.
because a lot of 49er fans have been talking about that, and I wholeheartedly agree. At the same time, win the game doesn't matter who's on the other side.
You would think the amount of times, the Niners haven't had their starting quarterback. You think Niner fans would be like, "Hey, like maybe this time we could face a team without their starting quarterback. That'd be great." And now they get a chance. So there it is. So, yeah, man, as fun as it would be to get a chance to beat Kyler Murray, um, probably let's take the road more traveled, I guess, in the opposite of the road
Less
less
traveled.
traveled, road more traveled. Colt McCoy, Niner legend. We were familiar with him. And I mean, this feels like such an obvious question, Jason. But hey, we're gonna cover it because it is a potential, and just things to talk about. How different is the Cardinals offense with Colt McCoy at quarterback compared to Kyler Murray?
How do I put this exquisitely? Very,
Very.
very different. I'm all right. So again, Colt McCoy is a very serviceable quarterback. Let me
Yeah.
take you back 1 year. Okay. Last year, the New York Giants, who he is quarterbacking for, has a hodgepodge of players who are, I guess, role players, go into Seattle and beat the Seattle
Mhm.
Seahawks. Now, I'm not saying that you should be worried about that. I'm just saying that Colt McCoy is capable.
Yeah.
Capable. Very capable. That's it. But again, I think just with this style of offense, the air raid, spreading people out, being able to move the ball passing wise, I don't know if this suits his skill set. I really don't. And I mean, I understand 49er fans scoffing, hey, it's Colt McCoy, who cares? At the same time, never let your guard down because that's how you get beat. Like the 49ers need to go into this game with the same, ferocity that it would be no matter who the quarterback is, whether that's Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray. Like you are in no position to overlook anybody at this point.
No.
And if you have a golden opportunity right now to not only steal a division game, which matters in sort of tiebreakers, also just stack wins. You're a half game out of the last playoff spot, which is currently occupied by the Carolina Panthers. And nobody believes the Carolina Panthers are going to be that last playoff spot. But at this point,
No.
it would be wrong of the 49ers defense, 49ers fans to kind of dismiss Colt McCoy, even though it's pretty easy to do that just because he's been a career backup. So, yes, it looks very different. But don't discount their adjustments, how they are gonna, use him right, get the ball out quickly, quick throws, maybe some extra blocking on those screens. They have to figure out something. And I mean, we don't really think too much of Cliff Kingsbury, regardless of their record right now at this point, because I still am not a believer because I still believe so much of this has to do with Kyler Murray and these ridiculous throws that it's not like Cliff Kingsbury is like, hey, throw a ball off your back foot and make sure it goes out of bounds where only Rondell Moore can get it. Rondell Moore would be my biggest scare in this game with Colt McCoy, simply because of how they use him. They use him on those screens. They get guys in front of him. He's so good with the ball in his hands. Again, I have no idea how in this world they allowed Rondell Moore to somehow fall to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the message is for the 49ers and 49ers fans, yes, it's easy to say, yeah, it's Colt McCoy, but don't let your guard down. And good teams, when it's presented in front of you, there's a victory in front of you, or there's a chance to pounce, they do that. And the 49ers, if they want to start to prove that they're a good team, last week when a considerable way to show that, you have to really emphatically win this game against Colt McCoy and don't let your guard down. If this game is close and you win the game, fine, wins in this league, but you really have to stomp this game out if it's not Kyler
Yes.
Murray, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I see people saying ask the Bengals about Mike White. I think this is a little bit of a different situation.
Well, Josh Johnson last night. I mean, Josh Johnson comes in the game and look, that game got really close at
Yeah.
the end of that game and that close game. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Andrew.
Yeah, no, I want to. My thing is with the Mike White is Don Burr. I want to say something to you in a second.
Yep.
Mike White, he comes in, makes his first career start. Obviously, we know what he does, right? 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, all that fun stuff. That's his second NFL appearance. Where so there's a lot of unknown about Mike White. Like I'm sure if you go in and ask, Mike White, who Mike White is 2 weeks ago, he's like, he's I don't know, who is he? Where Colt McCoy, like we know who he is. He has a decade of NFL experience. We know who he is. So I think to me, it's more likely that the Niners handle Colt McCoy a little better than say the Bengals handled Mike White because there's just more known. So I think that's the big difference in my opinion there. And then like the Josh Johnson thing last night, I didn't get to watch too much of the game, but like more often than not, you go into a game preparing for one quarterback, the backup comes in, things change. So it's different. Don, I just want to say I really hope the Lions screw everything up and claim Odell Beckham just for
Don,
fun.
I'm
Just
rooting
for
for
fun.
you. I'm only thinking about you with this Odell Beckham thing. When you guys waived Tyrell Williams today, all I could think is, oh my goodness, Don Burr is about to get Odell Beckham. And I that's all we're thinking about. That's it.
That's all I
Sorry, buddy.
want. Like honestly, like I really want. I want Odell Beckham as a Niner fan, and
Me too.
we'll probably touch on that here in a minute because
Mhm.
that's a topic you can't not talk about.
Mhm.
But boy, oh boy, if the Lions just say no, Dan Campbell just says no, he's mine. We're running it. I think that would be just fantastic. I
Me
think
too.
that'd be amazing. So yeah, so I really think that as I'm sure the Niners are hoping it's Colt McCoy, and that's nothing against Colt McCoy. It's just simply Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
Don Burr,
I mean, he's
he's
not
not
wrong though.
wrong. He's not
So
wrong.
for the audio listeners who are gonna eventually listen to this, Don Burr says Odell Beckham will sit out before he becomes a Lion. You're probably
You're
not
probably
wrong.
right, but you know
You're
how
probably
fun
not.
that would be. Just throw a wrench in the league's plan. Yeah, nothing against Colt McCoy at all. Nothing against Colt McCoy. It's just Colt McCoy isn't Kyler Murray. And that's really what it comes down to is if you want to, especially where the Niners are like, if the Niners are, let's say 7-1 right now, or whatever they can be, 6-1, 5-2, like in a position, sure, maybe see what you can be. Maybe. But the Niners are at a point where they need every win they can get. And even then, if they're 6-1 right now, I'm still saying, yeah, I want Colt McCoy to play because it's a easier game in theory. Um, but the Niners are at a point where they need wins because if they lose this game and then if they lose to the Rams, like fully possible that's well in the realm of possibility. 3-6, like it's not great. So yes, the Niners need it to be Colt McCoy or should want it. They don't need it. I'm not saying if Kyler Murray plays, Niners are losing because I don't think that's the case. The Niners are going to want it to be Colt McCoy, and that's just what it is.
And this league shows you no sympathy. And I'm pointing to a game that happened literally 1 year ago, not today, but the day before. The 49ers had literally every single player basically on the COVID list. Did the Green Bay Packers say, man, they don't really have everybody. Maybe we should take it easy? No.
No,
This is what I'm telling you, 49ers, if you're listening to me, because I know Kyle Shanahan listens to this
Kyle
pod. I know
Shanahan
John
listens.
Lynch does. Absolutely. I'm talking to you
Absolutely.
guys. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Sweep the leg. That is a Karate Kid reference for anybody, and I'm old enough to make it. I'm not 26 like Andrew said, but yes,
26.
if you are going to make any sort of push, this game is in front of you for the taking. If Kyler Murray's not there, sweep the leg.
All right. Predictions. You want to go two separate predictions? Colt McCoy plays and
Two of
Kyler
them.
plays. Okay,
Two of
let's
them.
do it. Let's go in the universe. Kyler Murray plays.
In the universe that Kyler Murray plays, the 49ers win 27-21.
In the universe Kyler Murray plays, the 49ers win 24-13.
Nice.
Give me a universe where Colt McCoy plays.
The 49ers win 27-7.
You know what? I'm going to go 20. I don't think the offense probably changes. 27-0. Niners shut him out. Why not? Let's just get wild.
Let's get insane.
Let's just get weird. Okay, now what about the Kyler Murray with DeAndre Hopkins. No, I'm joking. Just go through all the possibilities. Now, what about Kyler without DeAndre? No. So there's the predictions. I think the Niners win either way.
Me too.
I really do. I think with just the way the injuries line up, even if Kyler's there, I think what the Niners are gaining, it pushes them to be better. And I'm a big believer that Jimmy Garoppolo had a game to build off of on Sunday. And I need to be proved wrong. I just need to be proved wrong. I think what we saw in Garoppolo, they took deep shots, man. That, like, I'm such a simple Niner fan that they took multiple deep shots in that game, and I'm like, Garoppolo has turned the corner all the way back. But I really think Garoppolo had a game to build off of, and I really think maybe he gets on a little bit of a hot streak here. And the Niners play the Rams next week. Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay, so that game's already a win. So maybe the ball gets rolling here with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I have very good faith in Garoppolo this Sunday. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've been talking about. You hope that this is a springboard. And it was a little bit of, in Rocky, Mick's yelling at Rocky, get up, Rock, get up, Rock. And it was almost like a get off the mat moment for Jimmy Garoppolo and in his hometown. You got to hope that was, everybody loves Spicy Aponte. Maybe Spicy Garoppolo is something that we got there at the end. He's chucking the ball into the stands. He's running the option. And, you have to hope that that's a springboard, right? Because he at least got the job for one more week. And based on their defense. Now, here's something I want to point out with Arizona that's a little bit different on defense. Yes, J.J. Watt's not going to be there. I got that. Byron Murphy's going to play in this game.
Yeah.
He didn't play last time. He's a baller. Marco Wilson's going to play in this game. He didn't play last time. So there are differences. So a lot has to go with the 49ers in terms of where they're going to go offensively. How productive is Deebo Samuel?
Yeah.
This offense, clearly, Deebo Samuel's the engine. Clearly, right now. Like, Deebo Samuel saved the 49ers season with one play. Saved Jimmy Garoppolo's job for another week with one play. So we're going to see. But at the same time, the offset, George Kittle's there. George Kittle's back. And how much does Charlie Warner open up for George Kittle, right? Because Charlie Warner now is becoming that blocking tight end that everybody wanted. And you want George Kittle to be out there in space against Budda Baker because I'm still here, Budda. So there's a lot of things that go into this. And I just want to point that out. I'm not trying to throw a damper or anything like that. Hey. But that's all context that's needed. So yes, the 49ers need to break this home losing streak.
I was going to say, Papaya makes a good point too. The Niners are playing at home. They just never win.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I think either way the 49ers win. And what leads me to believe that is how close they were the first time initially when Kyler Murray was actually 100% healthy. Mm-hmm. So I think that they have the right game plan, even if he plays. Even if he doesn't, then I think that the game plan all right, here's the thing. Mobile quarterbacks slow down pass rushes. They slow it down, meaning you want to stay in your gap. You have to slow down and make sure that you're keeping contained. If Colt McCoy is there, go get him. And and you're not worried about it. Even if he beats you once or twice out of the pocket, fine. Go get him. That's the difference. You can't really just go against Kyler Murray because if you lose a gap, that's where he kills you. That's not going to be the same thing with Colt McCoy. So this game's right there in front of for the 49ers to win. It's right here. It is in front of you right now to win. And again, in this league, they don't show you sympathy. They don't change games because of injuries. Trust me, 49er fans know that better than anybody. Go win the game and make sure you win it emphatically. Don't let Colt McCoy linger. Don't let this team linger. Go get it. You can do it against this defense. I feel like the team right now is in a groove, play calling wise, and running the ball. I think it's too much right now. I think the 49ers win either way. So.
Hey, Jason, what if I told you there was rumors of the 49ers' interest in Odell Beckham? Have you ever heard that one before?
49er rumors and Odell Beckham, name a better pair.
Hey, at least the Niners can't trade DeForest Buckner for him this time, but no, okay. So obviously Odell Beckham. That was the thing, right? Remember when the Giants asked for DeForest Buckner?
Mm.
Oh man, good
No.
times. When DeForest Buckner was on the Niners, good times.
Mm.
Yeah. So Odell Beckham, obviously, he's on waivers right now. The Browns thing did not work. I think the greatest thing I've ever heard in football history is Odell Beckham's dad posting an 11-minute video of times his son was wide open and Baker didn't even look his way. That's a power play. Um, I don't think anybody's gonna claim him. Don't think. I
Well,
doubt
now
it.
they aren't because it's been a whirlwind and a roller coaster with what's happening. Is he going to be restructured? Essentially, what happened this morning? You wake up. The restructure means apparently what they're saying be vet minimum. They're going to turn it into a signing bonus, but then you're on the hook for 2 more years. Then you find out it hasn't even really happened yet. Um, and then you find out it has happened, but yet you're on the hook for 7 million, but they
Mhm.
voided the last 2 years of the deal, which were not guaranteed to begin with.
Yeah.
So essentially, this was a rental no matter what. But in terms of the money now, I think what you're alluding to, Andrew, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that $7 million makes it a lot harder to make that deal. And I think that what Odell did when it came to negotiating this release was keep the $7 million because that would leave me unclaimed and I get to choose where I'm going now.
Yes.
So, I mean, I hope that that's where you were going.
Yeah, so Adam Shaw, I'll just read the tweets because I have them in front of me. Adam Schefter tweets earlier today, 3:04 p.m.
Mm.
Divorce officially official after days of negotiation. The Browns and Odell Beckham Jr. finally reached a settlement that will result in him being placed on waivers Monday, after which he can be claimed Tuesday at 4 p.m. per league sources. Additionally, any team that claims Odell Beckham Jr. would inherit $7.2 million of salary for the remainder of the season per sources. The cost is considered high for being a player that would now be considered a rental, with this being the last year's contract because they did void out those 2 years. So the look of him being claimed on waivers, I know people were worried about like the Seahawks jumping in front because the Seahawks like to get people before the Niners. This podcast likes chaos. They're hoping the Lions were going to jump out and get him. Being on the hook for 7.2 million for what, 10 more weeks, whatever it is. And it being a rental, because I think the big thing a lot of teams saw in that waiver claim was the 2 years after, and you're getting Odell Beckham Jr., who's like, I don't know where we forgot that he's really good. I don't know where that got lost at. But now, I don't think teams are going to take that $7 million and claim him. I think what they're going to do is I think all 32, unless somebody wants to get really spicy, which maybe, who knows, maybe there's a team we're not thinking about that says, hey, we have the cap space, we could use a receiver, but then again, people would be talking about that team. I think the likeliest thing is he's going to be a free agent, and that's going to make things significantly easier for every team because they're just going to sign him to a vet minimum for the rest of the year. And so, I mean,
This is worst case scenario because Jesse is so right, and I
yeah,
think this is
like the Ram, like you look at this entire division outside the Cardinals, like that's my worry, because you look at the Seahawks and the Rams; those are two teams that make sense. The Seahawks, they played that dance with Josh Gordon for such a long time that they're probably, I wouldn't be surprised they're interested in Odell Beckham Jr. Sean McVay just seems to like to take things away from the Niners, Matt Stafford, and they just got rid of Deshaun Jackson. Other teams that are going to be interested, probably the Raiders. Obviously the Henry Ruggs situation really changes the outlook of their season. The
unfortunate.
receiver position, obviously unfortunate. Um, and then you look at the Saints. I saw the Saints interested because Taysom Hill needs all the help he can get.
Well,
Even though
not Taysom Hill.
I know it's Trevor Simeon. I don't like Taysom Hill.
Well, I
Another
know why you don't like him because future 49ers backup quarterback Jameis Winston was impeded by him.
you know. No, actually, I think I told you the theory I read on that made sense. Another one, I wouldn't surprise me. Would it all surprise you if you wake up on Tuesday morning or whenever it is? Oh, Odell Beckham is cleared through waivers. He's expected to sign a deal with the Buccaneers. Like, would that surprise you at all?
Yeah, but, all right.
Would
See that one I'll give you a little pushback on. You can't run 8 receivers
Okay,
every
but
every.
counterpoint, you probably could figure it out. I mean, like the Buccaneers just seem to come up and be like, "Oh, Sherman's available, we'll take him. Oh, Antonio Brown, we'll take him." I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be, to me, The Niners, I think I don't think the Buccaneers have a chance at them, but
No,
would you be surprised?
I would very much. I would
Okay, you'd
look
be surprised.
the two that I'm rooting for absolute chaos, and just to throw a monkey wrench in everybody's stuff. One we already touched on is the Lions. Two is the New York Giants find a way to go ahead and reclaim him because they have so many injuries and just turn their whole season into a circus. Because at this point, nobody cares about the New York Giants. And I would be tuned into every single New York Giant game
Yeah,
living on the East Coast and make sure I watch if Odell Beckham was there. If they were interested in getting eyes on that team and they were
yeah,
interested in getting butts in those seats, they would bring back Odell Beckham because Dave Gettleman's on his way out. So is Joe Judge. If you're not here just to put butts in the seats, the Giants aren't playing for anything but draft position at this point.
yeah.
I'm rooting for those two things purely in the name of chaos. Purely in the name of chaos.
It'd be a horrifying like alternate universe look at what the 49ers could have been. Dante Pettis and Odell Beckham.
Pettis, Odell, Kenny Galladay, give it to me all day. Literally every single other player on the Giants is injured at this point. I mean, what would they have to lose at this point?
So I guess
We've
talked
off the
about
rails
it.
here. We're off the rails.
49ers. Back to the 49ers. I mean, I guess the simple question, Jason, and you give your thoughts. Should the 49ers try and sign Odell Beckham?
Yeah, and I mean, look, all right. So let me play devil's advocate and let me tell you why I think it'll work, and I'll do both. Okay. One, I want to squash out this narrative that Odell Beckham is washed. I don't know where it came from.
No.
Don't know who. Listen, diminished, maybe, for sure, probably. Washed? I watched 49ers Twitter clamor for every single able-bodied, two-armed wide receiver that was even remotely available. AJ Green, Jamison Crowder. You don't want Odell Beckham? Okay, you're not making sense. But if you want to tell me it's his headache, cool, fine, whatever. You want to do that, that's fine. I got you. But don't tell me the man's washed. Please stop. Please, you're making a fool of yourself. Any person that tells you that Odell Beckham is washed needs to do 3 words. Quoting the great Rich Madrid. Watch the tape. Please. Please, man. Okay? That. But the devil's advocate side of it, the part that it really doesn't work is the 49ers don't run a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. Kyle Juszczyk isn't here to not play. He's just not. And they're running a lot more 2 tight end sets with Charlie Warner now blocking. And now, guess who's back? George Kittle. Now, another thing is, if Odell Beckham doesn't like being on a team that is run first, doesn't really throw the ball a lot, won't get a lot of targets, he's not going to have a good time here. Not going to have a good time here. So, for me, Odell Beckham is one of my favorite players to watch in this league because I had a good up-close watching him, here on the East Coast.
Yes.
But at the same time, that doesn't work in terms of what they want to do. But at the same time, the 49ers are telling you something different. Apparently, Mike Florio is telling you that they tried to trade for him. The 49ers have been linked to him. He wants to come here closer to home, all that stuff. Fine. I want Odell Beckham. Let me just go ahead and say it. I'm on record. I want Odell Beckham. And I think that for people to say that he's not a fit here, here's why he is. Okay. I think that a lot of 49er fans have it ingrained in their head that he's some sort of only deep threat. Realistically, if you ever watched him in New York, obviously in Cleveland, he's a run after the catch guy. Sounds like an offense that the 49ers kind of run. He's a guy who wins close to the line of scrimmage, catches the ball, makes the play after the catch. There aren't many guys that you're going to find off the street on this November 5th that will be able to duplicate what he can do. Give me Odell Beckham every day, twice on Sunday, as long as he's willing to understand you are going to have a limited role. You are not going to be on the field. We don't run 3 wide receiver sets that many times. They're at the bottom of the league of that. But at the same time, playmakers aren't growing on trees.
No.
But now, devil's advocate to that. Feed Brandon Ayuk. I mean,
I jokingly tweeted that yesterday.
Feed. You know what? You know what you could do as opposed to bringing in Odell Beckham? Maybe feed the guy that has the long arms like him and does so much. Maybe just go ahead and do that. But, again, Fantasy football, I would love to have Odell Beckham in this offense because I think he fits perfectly. Anybody who tells you he's not a fit in this offense doesn't get what's going on in this offense. But if you want to tell me he's not worth the headache, he's not worth the possible problems, I'm not going to argue that. One thing that I will push back against, and anyone who tells you this is a flat out either lying or they're just absolutely wrong. Odell Beckham is not washed. Not by a long stretch. I guess that's my spiel on it.
Perfect. I just want to counterpoint all your counterpoints.
Go for it.
Stat you didn't mention: 4 for 6, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, a passer rating of 149.3. Odell Beckham solves the quarterback position.
Boom. Your quarterback 1 pulls in. Now that Jerick McKinnon is now quarterback 2 over in Kansas City behind some guy who just throws a bunch of interceptions apparently now. But yes, Odell Beckham could shore up. I mean, all we've heard all offseason is about beefing up the quarterback room.
Yeah.
Bringing in Odell Beckham now.
Odell Beckham fixes it. Yeah.
Exactly. And it doesn't jive with what you've been saying all offseason. Great job, Andrew. And
you don't have to change his number, 13. Like, he already has a quarterback's number. No, for real, though. To me, you can't have too many skill position guys. And when one's available, like Odell Beckham Jr., like, what are you going to do? Like, you're not going to miss him. I mean, we're going to be talking about if the Niners miss out on Odell Beckham. I bet, willing to bet that the conversation is going to shift. Deshaun Jackson, I mean, we can make him work some way, somehow. You know, I'm willing to bet that some sort of conversation will be had next week about it.
Yeah, but my problem with that is he's much more of the deep threat.
He's a different deep threat.
Yeah, yes. But then the people are making Odell Beckham to be out. That's
exactly. Yes. No. I don't disagree. I just wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, because it's their skill. Like, that's one of the, like, the Niners have skill guys, but like I think stepping in, Odell Beckham's obviously their best one. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like if they miss out on, I'm not saying they're going to go get Deshaun Jackson. I just wouldn't be surprised if we hear them as one of the teams who were involved in Deshaun Jackson whenever he signs, wherever he goes. But I just Odell Beckham is a type of guy where you say, yeah, we don't run a lot of 3 receiver sets. He's the type of guy where you go, we're going to figure this out, especially if he can fall into your lap. So
yeah,
to me.
And today, Kyle Shanahan said something that, again, conspiracy theorists, throw the hat on. Yeah, everybody's a fan of him. I don't know anybody who is not.
Yes.
I feel like that kind of lends to what you're talking about. Kyle Shanahan will find a way to adjust, get it done, and figure it out.
I mean, obviously.
You play your best players.
Yeah, it's not equal. Obviously, this isn't an apples to apples comparison, but you look at the situation down in Tampa, right? They have Chris Godwin, they have Mike Evans, 2 very good receivers, probably a better duo than Debo and Ayuk, right?
Not probably.
I'm on a Niner podcast. I gotta.
No.
Right?
Look, we're on a 49ers podcast.
Yes, definitely a better duo.
Listen, earmuffs. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are better than Ayuk and Debo. Sorry, guys.
There we go, Jason. Thank you for correcting me. And you say, well, how does Antonio Brown help? And Antonio Brown helps, right? And so obviously not apple to apple because Bruce Arians totally different offense than Shanahan, and Brady obviously has an influence in getting Antonio Brown there, and obviously not the best term, but keeping his head on straight because he had all that stuff in the past. It made sense for Tampa Bay. So that's why this isn't a direct apples to apples comparison.
Correct.
But like we're not talking about getting Trent Sherfield on the field here. And that's nothing against Trent Sherfield. He's just not Odell Beckham, right? Trent Sherfield's very good by himself, but Odell Beckham's a different level. And that's the type of player, especially if you get at a vet's minimum, you find ways to get him on the field.
Here's my pushback to 49er fans. You don't want Odell Beckham, you wanted Julio Jones. But Julio Jones is a third receiver. Deebo Samuel and Ayuk were here. Think about that. Real quick.
I just don't think you could have too many receivers.
No. And playmakers like Odell Beckham are not growing on trees. But again, the 49ers probably wouldn't claim him. It's the salary. For $7 million, I don't think he gets claimed. I think that, again, Odell Beckham did what he did to keep the $7 million. So no one would claim him, and he gets to choose. And when it comes to that, then that's out of the 49ers' hands. If he doesn't want to join the 49ers, then that's up to them. But in terms of claiming him, that's not going to happen. It's just not going to I don't think the 49ers are going to claim him. I don't think so. I mean, hey, I'd love to be wrong. But now you got to figure out a way to clear whatever it is that you
I
have to
think it'd
clear
be
to make
about
that happen.
$4 million in cap space. They'd have to
Don't know
clear
how they
out.
do that, and there's a guy in that building that's apparently smarter than everybody that
Hey,
lowballs everybody.
expert.
But yeah, whatever. My bad. We don't want to
So
get back into that.
so yeah, no. So I think if you are a Niner fan, I think you should be excited at the idea of Odell Beckham. That's just my opinion. I know we like our guys, we like our players, and Odell Beckham, obviously, for whatever reason, he has this past that people look at and say weird things about. I don't know what he did to deserve it, other than get hurt every so often. Like I don't know if it's the dumb boat picture that the giant, because New York media blows everything up. I don't know. I don't know what it was.
I blame Trey Songz more for that than those guys. I mean, Trey Songz, what are you doing there?
I
You don't
just
play
blame Trey
football. Why are
Songz
you
for
there?
everything. I just blame Trey Songz for
There you go.
everything.
That's fine.
That's fair. So yeah, like, and to me, I don't think the Niners get him. I honestly
No,
don't.
no, I don't think
Um,
they do. But I think that I just want to dispel the narratives around why 49er fans don't want him for some reason. Like, I
because
think
he,
that that's
he
just.
would probably. I mean, if he's 100% healthy, he's the best receiver on that team, and Tebow's very good. Oh, you're taking Debo over him now?
No, no, no. I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm
Oh, you're
doing
okay.
like
You made a face. I was sure.
no.
Like he's wide receiver one. Like it's just what it is. It's not like he's gonna be a fringe third receiver. Like he's probably the guy the offense goes through, right?
Right,
Like
and his 2 years avoided. So again, anybody picking him up at this point, I mean, if he's not claimed, right? Like if he's claimed, then you're picking him up. This is absolutely a rental. If you're signing him, then I don't know what that deal would entail. Like, would that be a year with another option, something like that? I don't
mhm.
know. But it is very much a rental. And if the 49ers, fancy themselves a playoff team, I don't see why not.
Yeah, the Niners. The Niners need players to help them get to the playoffs at this point. That's just what it is. And Odell Beckham helps. I know he's not a cornerback. Like that's obviously a position of need, but sometimes there's talents where you say, yeah, this isn't a position of need, but he's there. He's 100% there. So that's just what it is. So I think just a long way to get to it. The Sprint Right Option podcast endorses Odell Beckham to the 49ers. John Lynch, hope you're listening. I
Oh,
know
he
you
is.
are somewhere.
Yeah, he's watching right now. And he's not watching film or none of those guys are doing anything
Yes.
but watching this right now.
All right. Well, that's gonna be it. Jason, do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here? You 26-year-old.
Yeah, no, just win the game, 49ers. Just forget all that other stuff. Obviously we're not going to find out about where Odell Beckham is going or whatever's going on with Tuesday, but in terms of what's in front of you, the 49ers have a golden opportunity right now to make up ground, keep things going, build off of what you saw in Chicago. That's really what it is, and that's really what you should be looking forward to no matter who the quarterback is on the other side. I feel the 49ers are equipped to win this game. I think they should win this game. I think it would be a letdown either way if they lose. I don't care what their record is, and I don't care if Kyler Murray plays. I think it still would be a bit of a letdown. So win the game, and then worry about next week. Again, this is the Sprint Right Option podcast is all about in front of you right now. Go 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Go 1-0 every week, and then we'll talk about next week. Okay? Don't care who knows what's about to happen this week. The Rams, I'm not rooting for this. I am not rooting for this. The Rams could have a horrible injury on one of their players, something like that can swing their games. I understand they just traded for Von Miller, but we're not worried about them right now. I'm just telling you, win the game in front of you. We'll talk about next week, and figure out what team is coming out of that tunnel that Sunday. Or Monday Night Football, in terms of that. But win the game, and yeah, I mean that's it realistically.
Perfect. Final question. Oh, wait, we just got to score more points. The Niners just got to score. Is that going to be the meme we're running with? Niners just got to score
Yes.
more points. Plain and
Listen,
simple.
you want in-depth analysis? The 49ers right now are 3-0 in games that they outscore opponents. Boom. That's how it happens. In games that the 49ers have outscored their opponents, they are 3-0. Make it happen.
There we go. Jason, I just need a one-word answer. Don't divulge on any of this. Just give me the one-word answer before we get out of here.
Mhm.
Hall of Fame, Posey or Posada?
Posey, and it's not
Thank
even
you.
close.
There we go. Buster Posey for the Hall of Fame. Feels like a very good weekend to tell your friends who think he's not a Hall of Famer that he is a Hall of Famer.
My goodness, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? Buster Posey's a Hall of Famer. Actually, you know what? Might as well just let Posada in. Let all the good players in.
Listen, and there's a little bit of an argument for that, but stop it. What are we talking about? Buster Posey isn't Hall of Famer. Come on, man. As a staunch Yankee supporter, I went to my Yankee source, my father, and I sent him the text message. I was like, Dad, is Jorge Posada deserving of the Hall of Fame ahead of Buster Posey? The text that I got was all caps, hell no. And that's it. That's all you need to know, man. Come on.
I only cried a little bit this week. Only a little bit.
Well, one thing I want to tell you is all you guys that get up on me about, oh, Derek Jeter is only your guy. Buster Posey's your Derek Jeter. I don't want to hear it anymore.
Wow. That was a shot at me because I jokingly do.
It's a shot at everybody who tells me I shouldn't worry about Derek Jeter and you only love him because he played for your team. Guess what? Buster Posey's your Derek Jeter, Giants fans.
Yeah, no, he is. I'm gonna miss him. Man, it was a brutal couple days. It's weird, dude, because like I'm not used to it. I think that's really the first like big retirement I've had in my life. Like especially for a guy who played for my favorite team his entire career, because I don't even think I've had that. I was trying to think of like what, because like Curry for the Warriors, but like he still has like 5 years left, 10 years left, whatever he has. The Niners, obviously not a ton of people that like, but suppose he was that dude. Buster Posey was the dude, and I'm gonna miss him. And Joe Bart, be ready.
And San Francisco, right? And the Bay Area wraps his arms around him. Buster Posey is your Derek Jeter.
All of this because I texted Jason one time. If Derek Jeter was a Red, nobody cares.
And if Buster Posey was a Red, nobody would care.
What was my comparison in the group chat? If
Barry Larkin?
If Buster Posey was a Yankee, he'd be Babe Ruth.
Probably, yeah. I mean, an MVP. That's my point about him and Posada. Buster,
Joe Staley, Ben Allen. Oh my God! Wow, I'm embarrassed. Yeah, Joe Staley is definitely up there.
There you go.
Joe Staley is up there.
And P. Willis.
I think
P. Willis.
I think the Staley one, the P. Willis one. See, they're all different. They're all so different to me. And I know we're off the rail. It's Jason's birthday. We're talking about things now. The Patrick Willis one's a little different because that's after Harbaugh. That's like the offseason Harbaugh leaves and Gore's gone. Like there was frustration behind that retirement. Joe Staley, I think it's a little different because he retires, and by the time the news Joe Staley retiring kind of sinks in, boom, Trent Williams is on the 49ers. So it's like, the news kind of gets buried by that. Joe Staley, obviously a Niner legend. But there's something about Buster Posey, 3 World Series titles, MVP, Rookie of the Year batting titles.
Shout out to Buster Posey, man. Did everything right, man. And a legend. I can say that wholeheartedly, man. I have nothing bad to say about that guy. Anybody who thinks that Buster Posey is not a Hall of Famer, or if that's your friend, or like, don't listen to that person. That's not your friend.
There you go. Do we have any other thought? Are you angry the Yankees didn't know Bob Melvin was available?
Don't care.
All right, that's gonna be it. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners, win the game, and let's get into this playoff spot, and let's talk about next week.
Happy birthday!
I'm turning this off.
You.
No. Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.